Hi, everybody. Hope you all can hear me. I was having some strange issues with my audio, and I tried the live stream several times. Don't know what's going on. Hopefully someone logs on and tells me if they can hear me. I'm going to type that in the chat right now. Anyways, big announcement. I'm going to try to do the first group land buy for Liberty Homesteads here in southeast Ecuador. Liberty Homesteads is a project thought of some years ago to do a group land buy with an intentional community of homesteaders, more like a neighborhood than what you would typically consider to be an intentional community, which is often just a house of hippies living together and wondering why it doesn't work out, right? Liberty Homesteads, just like Fruithaven, is more like a neighborhood, private road, the vision of it rather, people living in their homesteads, all right? So that's the idea. Now, how did it come about? Some of you may know, me and friends started the Terra Fruitas community and then the Fruithaven Eco Village community here in southeast Ecuador some years ago. And some of the Fruithaven owners at one point were like, hey, Fruithaven is great, but you guys have dietary restrictions, dietary preferences, whatever. I have some family members who really into permaculture and they want to live nearby me and possibly buy land, but they're not vegan, so why don't you do a group land buy for them? And I was like, hey, that's a great idea. I started the libertyhomesteads.com website, which you should check out. And I didn't really do anything. I didn't really put any work into it. I wasn't really sure how to move forward with it. I listed some properties, but there are properties in the other area. They were in properties in other areas around here, and I didn't really like traveling around a lot. And I don't really want to become a real estate agent, and just like I'd have to pay somebody to go around and check out those properties and take a lot of pictures and constantly update the website. And that's not really something I'm interested in doing. It would make money, sure, but there's a lot of things you can do to make money. Doesn't necessarily mean you like to do all of them. So in the end, I want to start communities in a way that's practical for me. But now I think it's a good idea to try to do a Liberty Homestead group land buy of a property that's right nearby us, up the mountain here. There's a 27.8 hectare property on sale for $30,000. It's a great property. It's mostly forested, secondary forest. 20 years ago, it was mostly cow pasture and pineapple fields. Now it's overgrown with a lot of brush, a lot of trees, a lot of forest. It's got some rocky areas. It's got a stream. It's got a waterfall. It's just nice. And then at the very end of the property just drops off down. And there's a couple other farms and then the river. Strategically very nice location. It's kind of like behind Fruithaven. So it's nice that there's already a lot of people living in the area who are into tropical homesteading and permaculture and sustainable living and that kind of stuff. For me, the thing about Liberty Homestead, a lot of people now Terra Fruitas and Fruithaven are great communities, but they're very narrow niches. And I'm not sure the niche that we have right now, I'm not sure if we can get to 50 to 100 people in the time that we need to get to that amount of people. You don't know when everything's going to collapse. It could be for the next 200 years. Everything's fine in the world. Nothing bad happens. There's no other world wars. The economies don't collapse. The dollar doesn't collapse. The rich elites stop eating babies and decide to not kill off 95% of the population. They just give up that plan altogether. It's possible that for the next 200 years, literally nothing happens. Everything's fine, right? But that would be great, right? It's still good to prepare for all the things that seem really, really obvious are going to happen. And then if they don't happen, that's good. You're prepared and you still had a lot of fun in the meantime. Rather than kind of living like a scared sheep in this city, knowing things are going to happen and knowing that you're not ready for it and just kind of hoping. So I want to be around a lot of people who know what's going on in the world and who are very clearly and very clearly anti-NWO in a really non-ambiguous way. And so, yeah, Fruithaven and Terra Fruitas, we attract a lot of really great people, but the focus isn't necessarily on those things. The focus is more on diet and permaculture, and that's great. But you end up getting some people who are really, really, really into the diet thing, but then they support I don't know, like poke shots, but mandatory, or they support transhumanism and Klaus Schwab kind of stuff, or whatever. I could go on, but basically, I'm not saying we have people like that necessarily. I'm just saying when you have too much focus on diet, you miss out on getting people who are really going to be by your side when the NWO comes knocking, when things really start to happen. It was really nice being at Fruit Haven Eco Village during the COOF lockdowns, shall we say. During the COOF lockdowns, there's like two different worlds. Being at Fruit Haven is just like, this is great. Everything's great here. Like, life is normal. And then you go out to the normal world and everyone's like freaking out and wearing like hazmat suits and like, what the heck is going on, you know? So it's really nice to live in a neighborhood where it's like that, because you can live in, there's plenty of intentional communities that you can go to live that are like hippie communes, where everyone's kind of living like centered around this one area and living in quarters that are centered around this main area, and everyone's lives are kind of crammed together. And it's great. It's awesome, but it creates, and I've lived in that kind of setting, but it creates a lot of drama. And most people cannot live in that setting long term, which is why most communities centered around that model don't grow very big. They don't grow more than this. Maybe they'll get a core group of 5 to 15. You know, that's exaggerating. A core group of 4 people or 5 people, and everyone else, then they have 5 to 10 additional people that are short term, and then that's it. And that's as big as they grow. And there are a lot of communities like that. So we don't want that. We want to grow. We want lots of people, because you become an unstoppable force during any kind of crisis. If you have numbers, and that's what I want. And quality numbers, not just random people off the streets. You want people who are into permaculture. You want people who are not with severe mental illness problems. Because you can't deal, if you have someone with full-blown schizophrenia, you feel bad for them, but you can't deal with them, right? At a community like this, it's just impossible. They need to be with facilities and trained professionals, right? So people like that would try to show up at intentional communities, and intentional communities, they always feel bad for those people, and they don't kick them out, and they let them stay around, and everyone suffers for it, and then the community doesn't grow. So communities got to grow, right? So you need people who are really into permaculture, people who are really mentally stable, people who are productive, people who are physically fit. Tend to get, when a community focuses too much on diet, I notice we would tend to get too many people with eating disorders who are just constantly fasting. They were just so skinny, had very little physical ability. Yeah, so people who are physically fit, people who are, like I said, against the NWO in a very unambiguous way, who are not afraid to talk about that and express their position on that. Be like, I'm really against politicians eating babies, and I know they're probably doing that, right? That kind of person, that's the kind of person you want. The guy who's obsessed with detox and has spent the last 15 years doing enemas and various types of fasts, and he's like really skinny and is weak and sick a lot of the time. He might be a cool guy to hang out with sometimes, but he's not the guy that's gonna have your back when the Gates Corp vaccine drones are bearing down upon you, right? Now, hopefully you're not living in a city. That's never even going to happen. But in the end, you got to have people around that are, how do I say this? People who are able, right? People who are real, people who are practical. So anyways, I'm going off on a big tangent here. We have a lot of cool people like that at Fruit Haven, right? So that's great. Now, I don't want 15 to 30 people like that. I want 50 to 100 people like that. So maybe Liberty Homesteads is another way to move in the direction of having a lot of really good quality people, to build up a sense of community, to have a lot of people who really see what's going on in the world and are willing to make a place where that just doesn't happen. An alternate society, a parallel society. Like you can have your Klaus Schwab society. You guys can have that if you want. 95% slow kill, whatever else they're doing. I could list a whole bunch of stuff that they're doing. You guys already know, right? So if you want that society to live in that society, you can have it. And then we can have our own parallel society. And guess who's going to succeed in the end? Because, of course, one society is going to collapse and the other one's just only going to grow bigger and stronger, right? But then that makes me wonder, when people come from the Klaus Schwab Society to come live at a place like Terra Fruitus and Fruit Haven, and they say, oh, I've always wanted to live at an intentional community full of people like this, and they stay for a couple of months, and then they go back to living in the Klaus Schwab Society. Well, why do they do that? Because I think there's often a hippie commune issue, and there's often a niche issue, right? You have the niche issue, which sometimes draws people that are kind of annoying to live with, and also limits the number of people that can come to the community severely. And then you have the hippie commune problem, which Fruit Haven has mostly gotten past. but other communities maybe haven't, where a lot of communities, it's just like the hippie house model. A lot of hippies living together in a house. Lots of drama. Nobody likes it. People leave. Never get past 10 to 20 people. That's just the way it is. So got to grow up, get a lot of people. I hope you all found the information in this video interesting. If you want to check out this new group land buy that I'm talking about, this is an idea. If something comes out of it, it's going to be awesome. If nothing happens, that's fine too. I'm just kind of throwing it out there. LibertyHomesteads.com. You can check out land available on the top of the page, land available. And then the first link there is called like Liberty Homesteads 8. And it says very clearly, this is the group land buy we're trying to work on right now. All right. So we're going to try to do it. We're going to see. This property is really nice. Hopefully we can get 5-10 people together, put a bunch of money together. It's all really well planned out. I've been doing this for years. We've been doing this for years. It's not just me. I'm not like this Führer extraordinaire. There's a bunch of other people that are helping us move things along here. So, you know, the backbone that we already have here can be used to create more communities. It says my connection is unstable. Hopefully everything I'm saying is making its way to the interwebs right now. We have a plant nursery. We have our own hardware store. We have lots of things going on. We have an office. So everything's really well organized here. And Liberty Homesteads, if it takes off, is going to be organized in just much the same way. It's going to be just as cool. So check out libertyhomesteads.com. Subscribe to the Telegram channel of Liberty Homesteads, which is linked to on the Liberty Homesteads website. There, on the main page, there's a Telegram icon right below the title. It's very clear. Just click on that. Subscribe to the Telegram channel. There's a link in there for a discussion chat on Telegram as well. And while you're at it, you should also check out my Telegram channel as well, which people are unsubscribing to. And I post content that's barely even offensive, like barely even edgy. Like there's a lot of Telegram channels on Telegram that are just like the worst imaginable stuff that you can imagine, right? I'm not that. I'm just some guy posting edgy memes. Lost like 15 followers in the last 2 months. That's okay. That's good. I want people to think about. I want them to think about things. All right. I want them to get triggered. I want them to. But anyways, I do need more subscribers. So subscribe to my Telegram channel as well. Have a good evening, everybody.